So today's webinar, we're really going to be focusing on standards, and it's an area we've revisited a number of times through the Wednesday webinars, but it's a really important piece of work that's going on at the moment. Some of you will have seen that where we've highlighted how you can access the standards and how they're being used by law enforcement, but there's been some significant changes in the last few months that Brendan and the team have been working to. And remember, this update is really helpful for suppliers as well. So we've got quite a lot to cover in the next half an hour. So let me go straight into introducing Brendan Johnson, who leads on the national standards approach. And Brendan, perhaps if you could you start off by explaining what the national standards platform does and how it could be used.
Yeah, certainly. Thanks, David. So the national standards platform, well, the national standards program kicked off about 4.5 years ago. It's been running as a service for roughly about 4 years. The overall kind of tagline objective for national standards was to bring together policing, the Home Office, and supplier community in some sort of common approach for data and technical standards. And that's kind of what we've done. So the service itself breaks down into 4 main components. The first one is obviously the platform. That's where we host and promote all of the standards that we supply to policing. It has 174 standards on there at the moment. All of the standards have been tagged, have been categorized. They're quite easy to search for on the platform. The platform itself, even though it's on the Knowledge Hub, is completely open. You don't need to log in to get access to it. And we've really tried to make the standards as easy to find as possible. We've created little summary abstracts for all of the standards that are on there. You can see quite quickly at a glance what the intended purpose of that standard is. So we really do a lot of legwork to make them easy to find. Now, we don't just put any standard on there. We've got a whole governance framework that runs in the background. We have a National Standards Assurance Board that they meet monthly, and they review all of the standards before they go onto the platform. They just give that sense of assurance that the standards that are on the platform are actually good for policing. That board itself, that's staffed with people, experts from across policing. We've got representatives from the college on there. We have representatives from the Home Office and the supplier community as well. And they're backed up by our community of practitioners. So you can't really have standards without a community that supports those standards. So we've developed 15 community practitioner groups across a range of categories. We've got forensics, we've got data, we've got security. And these are the sort of boots on the ground experts. And we engage with the community with all of the standards that we put onto the platform. Again, it's just providing that level of assurance that we are finding the right standards for policing before we make them available to them. And the fourth kind of stream of work that we do a lot of engagement. We engage a lot with government and academia. We work quite closely with suppliers and engage with policing programs. Typically, when a program starts up, it's got a particular objective, but when the program ends, a lot of the good guidance that they create and the standards that they create disappears. There's nowhere for it to go. So we try and capture all of that, put it through a process, and then make that available to the rest of policing. Government bodies, the Cabinet Office, they create a lot of data strategies. Academia are always leading on emerging technology and trends and the guidance that goes with that. So we try and work with those guys as well, just to make sure that we're keeping abreast of what's happening in the world of standards. And obviously suppliers, they make the systems for policing. So they have a huge stake in the standards that policing adopt and converge on.
So just to make it easy for everybody, the standards are available through the PDS website, or just simply type in the search term police digital standards and you'll go straight to the right page. There you can see the national standards page on the PDS website. You can navigate down to the actual portal itself, which is there. Search the portal and you'll be able to see the standards, how they're laid out. And we'll go into a little bit more detail on that a little bit later on. But it's very easy to do. The link will be posted into the chat. And I know, Brendan, the last month, September, was one of the biggest months in terms of visitors to the site that you've had. And certainly we tracked back that many people who visited the PDS stand at the Emergency Services and Emergency Tech Show were signposted to the site. What are the sort of subjects that the audience and the people are using it go looking for on there?
Well, I do have a slide if you want to move on, David. They well, typically I've got, if you look to the right hand side of this screen, we can track what policing are looking for on the platform. I've got two little infographics um, that kind of highlights what people are typing into the search bar on the platform. There are some common themes, month on month, cyber, pole standards, security, always, always turn up as a popular search term. But, unsurprisingly, we have things like AI that come up the rankings. AI, if you look at that top little infograph, was the second most searched for term on the platform. So what that means for us is that, myself and Melanie in the National Standards team, we look at what the policing are looking for, and we will then go and do the legwork. We'll go and research that area. So we've actually gone off and we're looking for the best practice that there is for AI out there. What are the guidelines? What's the latest thinking on AI ethics? We'll source all that material and then we'll put it through our process in the background. So we'll put it through the National Standards Assurance Board. We'll talk to our communities, and if we find stuff that we think is good for policing, then we'll put that back onto the platform. And if I can just kind of focus a little bit as well on the some of the other little graphs on this page, this slide it's just something that I produce every month to show the usage of the National Standards platform. And if we look at the platform usage, there's a little purple bar and a green bar. The green bars kind of highlight where we were 3 years ago when we started the program. We were probably getting monthly hits of around 100 or so per month. At the time, we thought that was great, given that we were a new service. But since then, the usage of the platform has increased quite steadily. As you said, David, the work that we do promoting the platform, the work the business engagement team do, really has helped the platform become more of a tool that police can really rely on. We've gone from an average of 100 hits per month to around about 400, 600, 700 hits per month. So we've increased the usage of the platform by about 400 or 500% since we went live. And that tallies with what we're hearing back from policing as well. As I said, we do a lot of demos. When we were doing them in 2021, typical feedback was, this looks great, but how come we've never heard of you guys before? Now, when we're doing presentations and demos, typically it's up. It's the platform. Yes, we use that. Or, somebody has mentioned that to me quite recently. And I only bring that up because I really want to drive home the fact that the tool is now something that policing do rely on for sourcing their data and technical standards. It's not a niche thing. It's quite a well-used and well-adopted tool within policing. And obviously, we're going to continue with with that and try and promote it even further.
And I think it's really important, Brendan, that we continue to remind people that the vast majority of the standards are easily accessible without the need to log in. And of course, we want policing and the wider tech community, suppliers and industry to provide feedback and engage on the constantly evolving standards. And that's built into the approach all the way through. But a handful of the standards are protected. So could you explain what we've done with what maybe previously been referred to as the NEP standards or the NEP National Enabling Programme work, or now really the PDS Microsoft 365 blueprints and standards? They've been migrated into this space, haven't they?
They have, and I don't know if you can just pop up the platform again, David. I don't want to jump around too much, but the NEP blueprints are obviously a cornerstone for implementing a kind of secure by design approach. We've amended the platform to just have a dedicated section for blueprints. You can see them along the top. Technically they are standards, but because they're such a cornerstone, because they have been adopted. I'm not sure of the exact number, but by most police forces in the UK are now using these NEP blueprints. When it comes to trying to ensure that your systems are secure by design. These are our go-to standards. So we are now trying to promote them even further. They are official sensitive, so if you go to the platform, you can read about them. We've got little summary abstracts for them there. If you want to access them, you can do that by contacting us through the platform as well. And there's a little contact us tab at the top. So that, if you want any more information about the blueprints, do just click on that link, and we'll get back to you with whatever answers we can.
Thanks.
I did want to also point out we have a similar approach for APIs. We also have an API section on the platform. It's kind of new. There's only a few APIs there at the moment, but it's another key area. Standards, kind of key for interoperability. APIs, same thing. So we're just really trying to section off these key components, make them really easy for policing to find, and kind of just make the platform more usable.
So, Brendan, one of the key things that you've been doing recently is about making these access to the standards more bespoke for certain forces. Can you explain a little bit more about what that sort of work you've been doing?
Yes, so I've spoken quite a bit about the platform itself and the work we've done in the last 3-4 years. That's all been well and good, but the platform itself it has hundreds of standards on it. And while it's a mature service in itself, we wanted to try and help policing solve real problems. So what are the challenges that policing are facing right now that we can help with? So we've approached a number of forces. We're working with a force now where we sat down with them. We asked them, what are you working on? What's your focus? Can we help? What are your challenges? And we came up with a tailored standards pack that we think will help them just in their day-to-day workings in some areas. The pack itself is maybe 20, 30 slides long, 20, 30 pages long. It's quite a lot of detail in some of the areas. I think we've got some slides here today that just highlight some of the things that we do produce for them. All of the packs will probably have this little cheat sheet, as I call it, included in it. If you've got 174 standards to refer to and search through, what are the key ones in each area? So we kind of summarize this on one slide for them. If you're interested in just digital evidence or digital forensics, here are the top 2 or 3 standards that are going to be good for you. If you scroll on to the next slide, please, David. So AI, I mentioned it earlier. That's another key area that policing are focused on and looking into at the moment. Myself and Melanie have done quite a bit of work looking into the recent AI guidance. So we've created a little summary of AI for policing. Not to go into too much detail here, but things like the AI covenant, everyone is probably aware of that. What you're not maybe so aware of is the AlgoCar standard, which was written about 5 years ago. It's about to get another update. And it's a core standard for tracking where machine learning and AI actually makes decisions. So these are the kind of things that we're doing. That we're doing quite a deep dive into some of these documents, working at where we think the standards really help policing, and then summarize it for them and presenting it back. A couple other topics if you want to scroll on a little bit, David. Sustainability. What is the environmental cost? That was brought up by the force we're working with at the moment. What is the environmental cost of the IT work that we do? How do we do it in an environmentally friendly way? So we've gone out and we've kind of gathered the most prominent standards that we could around green computing and sustainability. We've also provided some guidance on just what is sustainable software engineering. How do you embed some sustainable practices and processes into your development process? So we've done that and presented that to them. And I think on the next slide, David. Yes, there's a SIAP audit coming next year, and forces want to know, well, how do standards help with this cybersecurity audit? So we dived into the national cybersecurity strategy and just focusing on our little area of standards. Where can we help police forces with this audit? We kind of worked out that two of the 13 measurements listed in the National Cybersecurity Strategy can be supported or satisfied just by having the core cyber standards available to them. So, we summarize that for them. We provide the link to all the core cyber standards. Uh, Really, David, what we're trying to do is just do the legwork for policing. When you're already overwhelmed and you have your day job, uh, it's hard to find the time to read into, what standards are actually the best ones to use. So that's what we try to do.
And we've had a comment in from Gary who's asking which force. We're not going to disclose the force right now on the public
No, no.
webinar, but if you get in touch with your business engagement team and Gary in whichever force you are, then we'll be more than happy to work with you and perhaps look at where we can go. Brendan, one of the things when we were planning this, we did discuss, there's lots of changes in the procurement world at the moment, and whilst procurement standards may not have changed, what sort of work are you doing at the moment to help, in terms of procurement, and particularly if you're a supplier, can the standards help you as you start to approach perhaps a police procurement, or similarly, if you're a department wanting to specify a new feature, where should you go in first of all with standards?
Okay, so the procurement standards it's a long running topic within policing. What are the core set of standards that we should use in procurement processes? And the current state within policing is most forces have their own set of standards that they use. The work that we're doing at the moment is to try and work out what is the core set of procurement standards that that we should use it in procurement processes. So we're about to embark on a piece of work, David, where we're going to go out to forces, try and work out what standards do you use during procurement? Are they up to date? Are there better ones out there? Bring that all together. Review that again with policing and with our community of practitioners, and kind of develop a core set of procurement standards. Once we have that, I think that will really help the procurement processes rather than each force maintaining its own little separate list of procurement standards to use. We can centralize that list, ensure that it's reviewed, make sure it's kept up to date and that it's relevant and in line with the various strategies that we have, and then put it onto the platform and make it available. If you're looking for procurement standards right now, I would just go to the platform and search for procurement. Procurement is one of the tags that we have and we use for standards. So if you do that, you'll get a list of standards that will come back and that give you an idea of the standards that are used at the moment in procurement processes.
One of the things that we're absolutely fundamental to our approach at PDS is working in partnership with the supplier community, with the police tech sector, and obviously we sit as part of the Joint Emergency Services Interoperability Group. For those watching from the supplier community, we're almost asking them to take a bit of responsibility to help us achieve interoperability by adopting the standards. How important are standards to driving efficiency and interoperability as we move forward?
The interoperability, it's one of those terms that is often discussed and kind of often confused as well, not really well understood. I think when people think about interoperability, they think about APIs. There is a lot more to interoperability than just APIs. And largely, you achieve interoperability of systems through standards. If you think about the different kinds of interoperability that there are, first of all, how do you just securely connect to a system A to system B? And what are the cyber secure connectivity standards that you need to adopt to ensure that you can safely connect? Once you're able to connect system A to system B, how do you ensure that the data is transmitted in a common format? Where are the data standards that we need to adopt? And that's separate from APIs. So we have things like we have cybersecurity connectivity standards, we have data standards, we have the POL data standard. That kind of helps with that level of interoperability. But it goes even further than that. Once you have this ecosystem of policing systems all trying to communicate with each other, even if they can securely connect and they're using the same format, how do you ensure that when data arrives at a second system, it's interpreted in the same way that it'll be interpreted elsewhere. So we have things like data dictionaries that we need to think about. So we do we focus quite a lot on interoperability within standards, and we try to tease out those kind of different layers and the benefits of standards for each layer of interoperability to make it easier for policing to, try to focus in on when do I need a data dictionary, when do I need a data standard, what do I need connectivity standards to ensure my data is secure. And that's just a continuous piece of work. Every time we get a new system, there's typically a new data schema, and that needs to be kind of merged into the standards that we have.
And it's interoperability between policing, but then as it gets wider, the interoperability with the wider criminal justice system, our
Yeah.
like partners.
Yeah.
This we're one of the few sectors that's gone as far as publishing our standards to this level in such an open way. And just a reminder again that we do want our supplier community and forces to engage. And can you explain a little bit more about how people can engage in in the standards if they see something on there or they think something's missing? How can they get involved with you guys?
We do have I think I pointed out earlier, David, there's a way to just get in touch with us on the platform. You can, what I would recommend is joining the community of practitioners. If you join the community of practitioners, we will keep you up to date on everything that we're doing. We'll publish the developments from the past couple of months. We'll send you information on standards that we're pushing through the assurance board. So that's the best way to get involved with the work that we're doing.
And that's not just for the police community, that's the supplier community as well, isn't it?
That's right. That's correct. Yes, it's for anybody who has an interest in standards.
Really important to get involved. Thanks, Brendan. There's so much around the standards, and we will keep revisiting this in the future as we do more. As always, the recording of this webinar will be available online alongside the other ones, and alongside some of those standards right now. And it helps with the interoperability discussion. Is the couple of webinars we've done recently on the interoperability work through the police productivity review. There is a new link that we'll put into the chat and we'll put on the QR code. But if you do want to replay on anything around policing productivity review, please do go back to them. Also, a final call, I've mentioned we have got a workshop straight after this live webinar, but we have an in-person event on Friday where we're going to be talking about SharePoint, where obviously there's a lot of standards involved, but also a lot of interoperability opportunities there. So final call. We've got a handful of seats left at the event on Friday in person at Staffordshire Police Headquarters. Thanks to Staffordshire for hosting us, where we're going to go into a lot of detail about what a SharePoint and data management and standards of doing that alongside all the other events that we've got going on at the moment. There's a whole calendar. We've got Mike's L&D events coming up very, very soon as well. I can see a new post that's come in. Yeah, that's fine. So please do make sure you keep keeping on top of the events that are coming up. Brendan, Mel, Russ, Mike in the background, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing what you've gone through and how people can access the standards. And let's hopefully see a lot of hits on the site over the next few days as well as a result of this webinar. Please get in touch with the business engagement team, of course, if ever you need to know any more and want to reach out to them and give us the feedback as normal. Thanks for joining us all today, and we'll see you very, very soon.